Law and Crime Network. My name is Stephanie L. Willis, and we were just in the Todd Kendhammer case. We are taking a break this morning. We last heard from the glass expert, Mr. Mark Meshalem, and we had Cathy Russon on the line with us, and I think that we can bring her back. Cathy, are you still with us?
I am. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, how are you? Great to see you.
Great. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for asking. I know that we had the wonderful and unique opportunity to listen to the questions from the members of the jury. I know that we may have missed a couple. Were you able to hear some of the questions that we may have missed?
So interesting that you and I were
Right.
speaking and doing a voiceover while the judge and counsel were discussing at sidebar what questions to allow. And when you and I were discussing that, I talked about his fists, about Kendhammer's fists, and why both of them are bloody. Now, the left hand is more bloody. I think we have a picture of his knuckles. But the left hand is more bloody than the right. But the right hand is still bloody. Mm-hmm. And he says he hit the windshield with his left hand. And the first juror question was the impact to the windshield made by one or two fists? And the defense expert says one fist, that one fist hit that. So you know that there's at least one juror thinking about why his right hand has those injuries. Another question was about the force of this or the speed the pipe would have had going through the windshield. The defense expert guesses 30 to 45 miles an hour. Now, this is important to the defense case because how likely is it that someone could shove a pipe through a windshield manually, right? If it's really 30 to 45 miles an hour, like he says it is. Another question. This is very interesting. He was asked about how many cases he has had involving a fist hitting glass, and he said this was his first one.
I think a lot of the questions, myself as an attorney, I was looking at a lot of the questions that were asked and a lot of the testimony that was elicited from Mr. Mark Meshalem, because we know that he is a glass expert. So we assume that he deals with a lot of motor vehicle accidents and, whatever happens to the glass during those instances. But a lot of the testimony that was elicited from him today in the defense, talked about the sun, whether, what area in the line the sun was shining, or whether or not an individual from another car would have been able to see inside of the vehicle when it was, or Mr. Kendhammer's vehicle when it was in the embankment. What do you think about this? I mean, as myself as an attorney, I'm objecting, but do you think that it was useful for the jury to hear the answers to these questions?
Well, the prosecutor went on and on about headlights shining, and if that could block someone's vision, and the sun shining, if that could block someone's vision. Now, this goes directly to an eyewitness testimony that he drove by that morning, saw the car in the ditch, and by Kendhammer's account, the car goes in the ditch when he hurries and pulls over and forgets to put it in park because he's so panicked, and it rolls backwards into the ditch, and then he gets out and comes over and tries to get his wife out, okay? That's why it's in. So that means the car was in the ditch after the pipe comes through the windshield.
Right.
The eyewitness drives by and says he sees a car in the ditch and sees no damage to a windshield. So that's why all the questioning about the sunlight or the headlights and could they be blinding someone coming by. This is just yet for me another thing that I'm not buying on the defense, that we have an eyewitness who didn't see. We have seen pictures of that windshield. That windshield is pretty smashed up. And he didn't see that. I do know that we all know eyewitness testimony isn't always reliable or accurate because you don't know at the time when you're driving by what you're supposed to be observing and what you're not. But the windshield is facing out toward the road as he's driving by. And he says he saw no damage, and he also saw no people in the car, which also goes to the fact that already she's out of the car for whatever reason.
Right. Well, it looks like we are getting some coverage back in the Xavier Dobson matter. So we'll probably be throwing to that soon. But Cathy, thank you so much for being with us this morning. And as soon as we get back in the Ted Kendhammer matter, we'll be sure to look you up. Thanks so much, Cathy.
Thank you.
All right. And so we will be